Well, a lot of people have been asking how I attach my SharkFin to the F4 tail wing. And by a lot of people, I'm referring to the Pura people's definition of many. So what we do is be very careful. The first step is to carve out exactly where we want the foil winglet to go. And so here I've marked on the rear part of the fuselage exactly where I want to put it. And then the next thing that we do is find the center very carefully of the fuselage vertically, because it's very hard to align a flat thing on a round thing. And now by having these two pieces of tape cross over exactly at the center, it means we can line up the new fin when we put it in place. So now our shark fin can line up right at the apex of that little gap there. And then, as I said, how do you ensure that you can fit a flat surface to a round surface? Well, you can't, so you have to sand it down. And to do that, I used a file. And then how do we ensure that we mount the shark fin flat and not at an angle? Well, we need a flat spot. And this will probably void your warranty, but I found the file was about the right width to grind a groove. But how do we ensure that the file is flat? Well, first thing you can do is put your file on the bench and take your magnetic digital spirit meter, set it on 0, put your foil on some blocks so that the wingtips are horizontal, and then make up a little balance point and find some material around the garage that fits so that you can file away at 0. And then what I did was cut some grooves in the timber bench that I had, some nice thick ply, just enough so that I could squeeze the shark fin into the timber and push it down to the depth I needed. Put the jig on either side, and then I haven't actually filed this one yet, but I lined everything up, made sure everything was precisely on the right point. And it's really hard to fit that shark fin at the tip looking through this tiny gap here, but I managed to do it quite well. So I found the exact point that I wanted to line it up, and then checked that my fuselage was perfectly straight using the eyelet at the front, and then set it with epoxy and lined up the shark fin from underneath, pushing it up and down until it was perfectly in alignment. And then that was it. Let it set, and the finished result looked pretty good. I was happy with that. I just need to finish taking that tiny little bit of spare epoxy off the tip where the blue paper tape got stuck in, and should be good to go. Another technique would be to take the fuselage, wrap some high grip wet and dry around, and then sand the curve into the stabilizer shark fin so that it fits exactly where you need it to. Well, you know you've had a good day when a rainbow comes out to celebrate the end of a good session. I was out today on the 540 front wing on the Wahoo with the new tail wing adaptation. I've just screwed in, epoxied on this little tiny tail wing just to see if it can add a bit of stability. Seems pretty good. Cracked 29.6 knots, just that tiny little bit short of 30 knots. But I haven't been on the water for 3 months over winter, and sprained my ankle 3 weeks ago snowboarding, so it was a good session to get back out. Felt pretty stable, but the water was that glassy smooth, it was ridiculous. So not really a good test to check how much extra stability this tiny little wing gives me, but felt very good, and just had a really nice day out on the water. The sun was out, the wind was westerly offshore, 10 to 20 knots, really gusty. 7-metre sail was a delight. A little bit big at the first few gusts, but then the wind dropped down a bit and it was too light in the lulls, too small. You know, would have needed a 9 or a 10 in the lulls. It's down to 10 knots, but in the gusts, yeah, it was really good, but it took me a while to warm up and get back onto my sea legs. So when the stronger gusts were on earlier, I wasn't really pushing it, wasn't that confident. But then as the wind lightened up and my confidence came back, you know, the power wasn't there, and just that tiny bit shy of 30 knots, but still pretty good session for first time back on the water in 3 months. Get out there.